Happy Easter! It's 2020 and I'm getting ready to start our Ecuadorian traditional Fanesca soup. It's a lot of work. Let's get started. It is Fanesca time. Let's get started. So I went ahead and meal prepped the day before and I boiled up 3 cups of cabbage and 2 zucchini, which are underneath that, you can't see. And I also cooked my corn. You can use corn on the cob if you want. Red onion and white onion, I chopped that up. I got some fresh squash, red kidney beans, sweet peas, lima beans, and cannellini beans. Have them all ready to go for this soup. And I took my cod, I just popped over to Food City, bought a pound of cob, and boiled a pot of like 3 to 4 cups of milk. And while that was boiling, I went ahead and took my squash and my cabbage and I blended them together and it made kind of a mix and I put it to the side. My milk is ready, so I took the cod and I popped it in and boiled it for about 10 to 15 minutes and got that ready. And then while that was boiling, I took 2 cups of peanuts and 2 cups of milk and blended them together and then put them off to the side. Small break before I start the next process. Why do I make Fanesca? Traditionally, and my husband is from Ecuador, and this was a soup that he would have every year. His mom would make it for him. And when we first got married, I wanted to make this soup so bad, but he said, Kristi, it's too hard. There's so many ingredients. It's gonna take too long. We don't have all of this stuff. But one year I decided just to go for it. And there were a few substitutes that I had to add, but after I made it and he tasted it, he absolutely loved it. And so now it's just become a tradition for us to have it. My kids like it. Would they rather have ham and sweet potatoes and green bean casserole and the traditional Easter food? Probably yes, but they know their dad loves it and there's so much ingredients that go into it. It's kind of fun to make, especially with a lot of people. Typically, my sister-in-laws would get together, someone would bring the fish, someone would bring the beans, and then you just kind of pitch in together, but time's up, so let's get back to work. Okay, so at this point, it's time to start making the base of the soup. So I add 1 stick of butter, and I always use real butter, and anytime I bake or cook. And I started adding all of my seasons, which you will see all the seasonings in the recipe at the end. I'll post that. So I started adding all of that, including the onions, sauteed it, got it, the house started smelling really good at that point. And then I added some of my other toppings, like the squash mix, the peanut mix, 2 cups of rice, a couple cups of milk. I also added that milk from the cod, and here I'm adding all of my peas and beans and all of that good stuff, and it starts to get really thick at this point. But we're not quite done yet. I still have more ingredients to add. So I stir this, and you want to make sure that you keep it low because you don't want anything to burn. So at this point I added some cream and some crumbled cheese. And then I started working on my toppings. What's special about this soup is all of the extra toppings that go on top. Cilantro and eggs and sweet onions and plátanos. And then I also made little mini cheese empanadas. So let's get our soup ready. Here I have a scoop of the soup. And then I start adding my empanadas, which I made homemade. And then I'm gonna add the egg. And next I'm gonna add the aguacate, the avocado. You have to have that. And the plátanos. And then I added some of that fish and onion mix in the middle with a little bit of cilantro to top it off. And voila, here you have the famous Fanesca. So what are some traditional things that you do at Easter? Maybe a traditional meal that you make or an activity that you make. I'd love to hear about it. I hope you all have a wonderful Easter y feliz Pascua.
Okay, boys and girls, I just made Kristi Correa's black bean salsa and it's delicious.